This is part 3 of the transmission swap. We need to remove this exhaust bracket with those 2 bolts. Now I'm going to set the transmission jack in the right place. We need to remove these 2 bolts and these 2 bolts. You can kind of see it on this side. There's actually a bolt and a nut on each side. Those were really hard. It took me a long time. Now we need to remove this transmission mount. Then I separated the transmission from the engine, which took a while, lots of wiggling. I used a pry bar in the top to pry it apart a little and put a plastic wedge in there to keep it from going back as I wiggled the engine and transmission. Finally got it off, and after a while I got it down and then needed to jack up the car so we could get it out. And that's where I made a pretty big mistake. Thankfully nothing was damaged, but it could have been more disastrous. And there it is. It fell off of the jack as I was jacking up the back of the car. Then I jacked up the car as much as I could, and even still, after jacking up that far, it wasn't quite enough. I had to remove the 2 wires that were connected to the top of the transmission, and even then it was within millimeters of getting out. Finally I got it out, and there's now a big hole where the transmission was. Then I swapped over the wires from one to the other because the new one had some broken wires. I swapped over a sensor that had broken on the new one. I swapped over a few bent things. And once everything is all swapped over, the new one is ready to go in the car.